It just got really quiet. So good morning, everybody, everyone in person, as well as everyone viewing us virtually via our Zoom webinar platform. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's a beautiful day outside, and we're very happy to be with you here today. My name is Christina Gallagher. I am the Director of Marketing here at Homestead Village, and I'm joined by our President, Douglas Motter, and we will be talking with you about a lot of important topics today, but hopefully you find this very educational and informative. And certainly if you have questions following the presentation, we'd be happy to answer those for you. And we have folks on a computer as well. So if you email in your questions as listed in the email that we had sent out, we can answer those email questions virtually as well. So again, thank you for joining us. And without further ado, we will go ahead and get started.
Good morning, everyone. Normally, when I speak, I walk around and use a lot of hand motions, and now I'm trapped because I have to stay in that box. I feel like I'm in a box, but that's for the benefit of those who are watching online, and I will adjust in time. Christina may pull me back into the box if I start to walk back. So in this presentation, you will learn retirement options. This is a little marketing speak here. Why are all my friends moving to a life plan community? Probably everyone in the room knows someone who has moved to a life plan community, and perhaps a number of your friends have moved there. But in reality, most older adults don't really plan very well for their future. So I want to commend you for taking the time, the energy, and the focus to looking at your various options, because you're ahead of the game just by the fact that you're here. You're going to learn what benefits can I gain from moving to a life plan community? How does the fee structure work? What makes Lancaster the best place to retire? We think in the country, we may be biased, but we think it is a great place for seniors to live. And then what sets Homestead Village apart? And then we'll have a tour following this presentation. So, what are your retirement options? The easiest one, and the one that a lot of folks end up choosing, is I'm just going to stay where I am and bring all the services I need to me. So I moved to my house almost 20 years ago. I was just turned 40. I had 5 kids, teenagers, and young children. And I chose wisely in the house that I purchased. It actually has 6 levels. It's one of those split levels from the 60s. And you have to go up 2 sets of stairs to get to the kitchen and another set of stairs to get to the bedroom. So I don't think my house would be a great option for me to plan to retire in. I'm planning to stay active physically forever, but in reality, we know that most folks benefit from a house that is more senior friendly, and I don't live in one. You can think about your own house. Does it meet your needs when you're 75, 80, 85, 90? Another option that a lot of folks choose is to downsize to a home in a traditional neighborhood, but maybe it's a little bit more senior friendly, single story, a condo, single story with elevators. Another option would be to move to a 55 plus community. Those are popping up all over the place, and they are a good option. But again, at some point in the future, when you need more services, how are you going to access those? And Christina will talk about that in a little bit. We believe that perhaps your best option is to consider a life plan community. And here in Lancaster County, you throw a rock and you hit a life plan community. So you have lots of great choices. And we are pleased to have so many friendly competitors in the area because it makes all of us better. I always add this last one: move in with your kids. I mentioned I have five kids, 5 daughters, and that's still on my list as a possible option, but I keep crossing off daughters as the years go by. And And I think the ones that are left on the list are saying there's no way that that man's going to come and live with me. So it's a good threat, though. I've been threatening it for decades.
All right, so next we're going to touch on a concept called your essential support network. So before I dive into that, I just kind of wanted to explain where the name Life Plan Community actually came from. Has anyone heard that term before, Life Plan Community? A couple in the audience. Has anyone heard the term Continuing Care Retirement Community, or CCRC? Pretty much everyone out there is nodding. Okay. So there is an organization, it's called Leading Age. It's a national organization that represents nonprofit communities like Homestead Village. What they had done through their market research was understand that the incoming folks who are moving to communities like Homestead Village, they did not like the word retirement. They did not want to think about themselves as retiring. They wanted to be engaged and look forward to a lifestyle that a community would offer. So this organization suggested that we should totally eliminate the term continuing care retirement community, because that's not how people saw themselves. That's not what they wanted to do. They didn't want care. They didn't want to retire. They wanted to thrive and grow and continue to be engaged. So they are trying to move away from the term CCRC and evolve into the life plan that people plan for and look forward to. So that's why we're calling it a life plan community. So in the next couple of slides, we'll talk about who and what is your essential support network, who's around you, who's going to support you into the future. And there's 7 topics that we'll touch on with the essential support network. So the first one, as Doug mentioned briefly, was the house that you live in. Is it something that's going to support you into the future as far as accessibility? Do you have many stairs? Is your laundry in the basement? Or do you have an easily accessible first floor master bedroom with easily accessible bath, things like that? The next item is your social support. Do you have opportunities for togetherness with friends, companionship, educational opportunities, and wellness? Sometimes when you live in a neighborhood a very long time, it has supported you through many wonderful years, but then maybe your neighbors start to move away and the feel of the neighborhood starts to change and it's lost that special touch that it used to have. That can be a challenge sometimes. Then also nutrition. Some people really love to cook, but others not so much. So if there's an injury or illness or something were to happen, or maybe some of the folks joining us virtually live in a more rural area. So it's a 30-minute car ride to get to lovely restaurants or the grocery store. All of those things factor into your decisions about your future plans. The next item is healthcare. So in Lancaster County, we are very blessed to have many wonderful healthcare options. We have excellent hospitals, many excellent doctors and specialists. But again, as you evaluate your essential support network, who is going to be there for you as needs change and as you may need more healthcare into the future. Transportation, if let's say you have a knee replacement surgery or hip replacement surgery, unable to drive yourself, who's going to be there to provide transportation for you? Again, just evaluating all of these items that factor into your future plans. And then finances. Certainly, as Doug mentioned, you could stay in your home as long as possible. You could renovate that home to be fully accessible and be a comfortable place to retire, but that might be very expensive to do that and unrealistic financially. So doing a budget, looking at your assets and income and how those are going to support you through your future years. And then finally, your family, friends, and neighbors, who is there to support you and lend a helping hand if you need short-term support or long-term support. So essentially, when you consider that a life plan community checks all the boxes in your essential support network, it gives you and your family peace of mind that if something were to happen, or, you can also throw away that lawn maintenance, snow removal, getting up on ladders to clean out the gutters, all those things that make kids like me worry about their parents. You don't have to do those things anymore. You can just be confident in knowing that that's all taken care of for you. You know who to call in those situations. Also, it allows your friends and family to remain as friends and family, not caregivers. And this is something that's become more real to me. I've been helping my own dad this spring through some health issues, and he is living far away. He's in Boston, but if he had been in a life plan community, I would have felt so much more peace knowing that there was someone for him to call if he needed that. So next, I'll bring Doug back in to talk about the fee structure and how that works in a life plan community.
Christina gives me the tough topic to deal with, which is the financial aspect. So entrance fees. We're really going to talk about three main fees that you experience in a life plan community. The first is almost universal, and that's an entrance fee to move in. There are a few life plan communities that are purely rental, but from what we can see, they have to be big enough so that the rental fee will pay for all of the other services in addition. So if you have 150 residents in a rental community, the rental fee would have to be so large to cover the cost. But if you can spread it out over thousands of residents, then it can work, but it's still a much more difficult financial picture. And one of the things that you're doing if you choose to move to a life plan community is you want to make sure that it is financially stable, because you're investing in it. You want to make sure that it's going to be there for the rest of your life and meet your needs. So that's why entrance fees are in existence, because it creates the stability and it creates the cash flow to allow for all of the additional services that folks are looking for. Like take this building, for instance. We were able to build or acquire this building. Some communities build buildings like this because we have the financial resources to do so. So it's not inexpensive. That's a good way of saying that it's not cheap to pay that entrance fee. Some communities have very reasonable ones and some communities have very large ones, which you'll find as you look around. But it does help you support all of the community services and the community's future. Then there are monthly maintenance fees, and this is universal, that there's going to be a maintenance fee to continue to live in a retirement community, just like there's a monthly maintenance fee in any kind of homeowners association, 55 and older community. In an organization like Homestead Village, that maintenance fee is providing those extra amenities like the pool and the gym facilities, the complete maintenance of all of the buildings, right down to if you have a light bulb out, our maintenance staff comes and replaces it. Pretty much any maintenance need that you have, we take care of it. I think one of the surprises that a lot of residents have when they move here is their hot water heater springs a leak at 9 o'clock at night. And by 11 o'clock, our maintenance staff has replaced that hot water heater, one phone call. So it is it's a peace of mind that you get. Landscaping, grounds care, snow removal, all exterior. If you love to garden, we welcome you to garden around your house. But if you don't, we take care of it. All the property taxes are included. This is kind of an interesting one. I'll tell you the punchline. We are the third largest school taxpayer and township taxpayer in East Hempfield Township. Woodcrest Villa is number 2 and Lancaster General is number 1. And between the three of us, we are funding well over 5% of Hempfield School District's budget. Often you think of a nonprofit as not paying taxes, but all of us either pay in lieu of taxes or pay the actual tax rate, which is what we do. So our current tax bill is approaching $750,000 a year. That's included in those monthly maintenance fees. Courtesy transportation to shopping and physician appointments. We have a large transportation pool and we provide included in those fees up to, I think it's 5 miles, no additional cost. There's a mileage fee after that, but that's a very beneficial part of those monthly maintenance fees. We have flexible dining plans and they get their own section in a little bit. And then it just still says we have a guest cottage for visiting friends. So we actually, that's one that we actually did away with just because 20 years ago, there were very few places to stay around here. Now there are a lot of options for folks to stay at, and it didn't make sense for us to try to compete with those. We were seeing that a nice hotel like Heritage Hotel was sometimes $20 a night cheaper than we were. So why were we in that business that we're not normally in? So we actually turned our guest cottage back into 2 additional homes, and those are occupied now. So this is another key part of that monthly maintenance fee at Homestead Village. And this is a big part of what in some ways sets us apart from a lot of other life plan communities. Most have some type of an emergency call system, but at Homestead Village, your monthly fee also entitles you to up to 15 days of care in our skilled nursing each year. And that's a very important thing because a lot of older adults that go to the hospital end up in observation. And if you're in observation, you don't qualify for Medicare. So those very expensive services at the onset of moving into a skilled nursing facility would all be out of pocket. Even if you have long-term care insurance, there's usually a waiting period that doesn't cover that first period. So you would be looking at that cost out of pocket. But here we cover 15 days. Medicare is first, or long-term care insurance if it would cover first day, usually it doesn't. And then our 15 days covers after that. We have 24-hour security. We have 24-hour supportive services staffing that respond to needs anywhere in the community, but are there to care for our residents in our apartments who have needs, 24-hour on-call maintenance staff. And then the fact that we have a continuum of care, all of the different services that you might be looking for are available at Homestead Village. Now the third one, we lump it in under monthly maintenance fees, but let's talk about meal plans, because meal plans are always a hot button issue for folks who live in a retirement community and folks who are considering one. Let me just be frank. You can find a retirement community, a life plan community that has no meal plans. Let me tell you what happens then. They still have a dining department. They still have fees or costs, I should say costs, of well over $1 million a year to run that dining department. And you're paying for it in your monthly fee. And then you're paying for it again when you go to buy food there, if you go to buy food there. So you're paying twice in that model because that dining has to be paid for. So no matter where you are that has a dining component, whether you're on a cruise, whether you're a member of a club, the dining has to get paid for. And we think that the best way to do that is to have meal plans so that everybody participates and the meal plan pays for the dining. So you're getting value for that department that's going to be there anyway. And then the meal plan forces us to make sure that our dining department is very responsive to your wants and needs. So having special diets like gluten-free, having food options that people really desire, there is an impetus to make sure our dining department is acting in your best interest because of the meal plans. So it really is a win-win situation. And then really one of the essential services that Christina talked about a little bit ago is nutrition. As people get older, they often cut corners on their nutrition. And that meal plan becomes truly an essential part of providing great services to our residents as they get older. You can see that our dining dollars can be used for a lot of different purposes, including dine-in and takeout and delivery. So I'm going to switch topics here rather abruptly away from financial and talk about something that is on everybody's mind, and that's COVID-19 and our response here at Homestead Village. So this is probably the topic that we talk about every day more than anything else. It overshadows all of our other services, is how to keep our residents safe from the coronavirus. So Homestead Village experienced its first case of coronavirus within 2 weeks of the first case in Lancaster County. When it came here last spring, It landed in Lancaster City and in Lidditz. And if you think about it, Lidditz has the rock Lidditz with people coming in from all over the world. And Lancaster City has a lot of interaction with major metropolitan areas. And so it arrived in those two areas, and cases almost immediately started appearing in and around Lancaster and Lidditz. So back then, in late March, early April, we had a small supply of protective equipment. Would last for a few weeks, but we immediately had to be very careful with it, and then it was not available. So we had staff members wearing surgical masks for a week at a time, if you can imagine, every day for 8 hours, not ideal. And we were scrambling to find things like gowns, and it was a very difficult time. The most challenging thing was there was basically zero access to reliable testing. Test results took up to 10 days. It was a difficult time because our older staff immediately wanted to leave of absence because they were afraid to be here. And many of our younger staff were quarantined for up to 21 days if there was a potential exposure. So how do you staff and take care and do all the services in that kind of a situation? I would say it qualified for some of the worst times that I've experienced in my 30 years in retirement living. Our last case in healthcare and personal care occurred in mid-May of 2020, and we've not had a case in our nursing home or personal care since that time. So it is true that we lost some of our most precious residents to COVID, and the tears were really were real as we said goodbye to some folks. But part of the story that I don't think is shared enough is that 2/3 of our most frail residents in the nursing home recovered from COVID. And I don't think that that message is clear, that most people do recover. Even the oldest people, even up to 100 years old, can recover from COVID. A few staff members in residential living, and all other residents and staff fully recovered. So we had a few cases in independent living, a handful, and they've all recovered. A few staff members in residential living residents have continued to test positive, but the last case we've had was back in 2020. So as soon as the vaccines were available, we worked hard to make sure we could get access to them. And Hershey Care Pharmacy came to our rescue. And so at this point in time, 98.5% of our residents have been vaccinated, and were vaccinated by about the end of March. So that has been a very successful process. The 1.5% that aren't vaccinated have medical issues, or they're so old that their families just say there's no reason for them to be vaccinated. And so we accommodate that. I think one of the biggest challenges that we face is convincing our staff members to consider being vaccinated. Now, we are a very pro-vaccination organization. We literally have had 100% of our staff vaccinated for influenza for the last 9 years. So we don't mandate it, we encourage it, we educate, and we're able to get 100%. The COVID-19 vaccines are a little bit different because they're so new. And especially our younger staff have concerns. And so they've got to work through those concerns. And what makes it really challenging is there are not enough people willing to work right now. So many people are out of the workplace. And even though our nursing assistant wages have gone up 50% in the last year, they can still go to Sheets, which is a much easier job, and make about the same amount of money. So we're at the breaking point of how much we can afford to pay, because we've already increased the pay so much, and yet the options to go elsewhere, because every business is looking for help. So we're kind of stuck. So where we are is we're educating, encouraging, and in the future, we'll see what happens from the standpoint of mandates. So this is, I think, a very important point for everybody who's considering a retirement community. And it's something that most folks don't think about until they get there. And that is, who controls all the money? Who controls all the decisions? How are those decisions arrived at? And what input do I, one resident out of 500 or 600, have in that decision-making process? So at Homestead Village, we're a nonprofit. We have a volunteer board of directors. It can have up to 15 members. I believe we have 14 right now. 5 of them are residents. So 5 of our residents serve on the board of directors. Our bylaws allow up to 4 residents to serve, but if a board member moves in, they can complete their term. So Dr. Mary Ann Kelly has been on our board for many years, and she moved into the farmstead a few months ago. And so she's our 5th board member who's a resident at Homestead Village. And I think that says a lot for how many of our board members choose to move here. They know everything about this organization, and they make the decision to come here. In addition to that, we were pleased to get Christina a few years ago when she came to Homestead Village because her predecessor, Susan Doyle, retired. And Susan was our director of marketing for about 15 years. Some of you may have known her. Susan moved here about 2 years ago and is a very happy resident and involved resident. And I talk about somebody who knows every skeleton in the closet. And she chose to come to the place where she worked for 15 years. So resident association and council, our residents have a very active governance program. Every resident is automatically a member of the association. It meets quarterly, and we share all the financial information at that. We actually have the financial information more often than that on our Touchtown system, so you can keep tabs on that. But that allows every resident to share their feelings with the resident leadership and with myself and with any board members who are residents who attend those meetings. We have the resident council, which is the resident leadership. They meet monthly. And I and my vice presidents attend every one of their meetings and hear firsthand what resident concerns are and address them. And then in addition to that, I have at least 2 coffees with the presidents, with residents when there is not a resident association month. And so that's more opportunity for direct feedback to me about what the residents' concerns might be. And then we have multiple resident committees: dining committee, woodshop committee, activities committee, library committee. So residents are very active in making sure that all of these amenities are operating in a manner that they desire.
Great, thank you. So I'm going to pivot again here to talk about what makes Lancaster the best place to retire. And we do have some folks joining us on Zoom today from Maryland, from New Jersey, from New York. So we are seeing a lot of people who are looking to come this way for retirement years. So of course, if you live here, you know firsthand that Lancaster has a wonderful downtown, wonderful dining, entertainment, so many great things to do here in our vicinity. We're also convenient to major cities, have access to great healthcare, and have a wonderful cost of living compared to some of your larger metropolitan areas. And if you notice on the slide before, I'll just back up once. We actually, in the past probably 8 to 10 years, have either earned first, second, or third best place according to US News and World Reports. Lancaster County is the best place to retire in the entire country. So those combinations of things with the healthcare and the different communities that we have really make us a wonderful place to live. Also, our climate is very nice here. And then I think people are generally nicer here. I come from Boston, Massachusetts, and people did not nearly say hi to you as much as they do in Lancaster County. In Boston, they walk right past you. Here, they're like, hi, 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 and are very helpful and warm and inviting. So at least I think that they're nicer here in Pennsylvania. So we'll dive in a little bit more as to what sets Homestead Village apart. And I think the number one unique point about Homestead Village is our Thrive Where You Are mindset. So we have 5 pillars of the Thrive Where You Are. They actually earned Homestead Village a finalist award in the Central Penn Nonprofit Innovation Award. So we're very proud of this concept. But basically, what we've heard from our residents and people who are looking to move here is that they want services to be able to go to them in their house. So when you move here to Homestead, we have a wonderful transportation department. As Doug mentioned, we'll bring people to doctor's office visits at no extra charge within 5 miles. We have a wonderful home care team. So our home care team can do housekeeping, lawn and laundry services. They can help with companion transportation, meal preparation, things like that, help following a surgery or injury. And that can be brought right to your house. You don't have to go anywhere to try to find additional services if you need them, either short-term or for a longer term. We have a lot of proactive wellness measures. So we have a wonderful therapy department that if someone needs rehabilitation, that once you are discharged from inpatient rehab, our therapy team can actually follow you back to your home to continue with restorative therapies in your house. As well as classes like the Otego strengthening class that help work your core and your strength and track your progress to help reduce falls or other injuries. We also have a really unique personal care program. And this is my favorite because it's something that only Homestead Village does. And so what happens is that all of our apartments, we have 111 apartments, they're all dual licensed for personal care. So when you think of a personal care room, usually you think of a small studio apartment that is not very spacious, just has maybe a bed and a nightstand. But that's not true here at Homestead Village. You can live in a lovely 2-bedroom apartment. If it's a couple, the couple can stay together, and we simply bring services to you. So you would enroll in our supportive service program, and a staff member would just come to your apartment, provide that care. It can also be for a 30-day period. So let's say you just need care for a little bit. You don't have to move back and forth between rooms or places to receive those services. We simply send a staff to you. You get the care you need, and then if you don't need it anymore, you can unenroll in supportive services and then just go on your way there. So I think that's very wonderful way that we do personal care within our apartments here at Homestead. So you can be very comfortable and live in the lovely apartment. And then finally, home design. All of our houses are designed structurally that they are very accessible. So barrier-free, beautiful European tile showers, maintenance-free living, check-in services and emergency services all are built into the home design that we have here. So I think this is a really important feature of Homestead Village. And then next we have the nonprofit difference. So as you're looking around at communities, we're very blessed here in Lancaster to have 18 nonprofit life plan communities all within our county. So we all try to outdo each other and be the best that we can be. But the difference is that nonprofit organizations tend to have very resident-centered values. So we're here to serve. We're not here to make a profit. We're here to make life wonderful. We're very quality focused, reinvesting our resources into better facilities, better amenities, and excellent staffing. Benevolence. So if someone moves to Homestead Village and they outlive their resources, you're never asked to leave based on financial hardship within our community. So we have an endowment that's funded by a gala, a golf tournament, and personal donations that, again, that's a peace of mind. So if you're looking at a for-profit organization, they don't have that same policy. So it's very important to look at that benevolence care policies within the community that you're exploring. And then at nonprofit organizations, if you do research, you'll tend to see that our staffing ratios are very good and very strong compared to some of your for-profit organizations. So take a look at all those things when you're doing your research about where you'd like to move. So now I'll just take a few minutes and do a little photo tour of Homestead Village. We have a pickleball court, as you can see here. And then this is Susan, who Doug mentioned earlier, was our former marketing director. Here's a photo of our wood shop. So this is actually located in the big white barn behind our main building. It's actually twice as big as what that picture shows. So we have a lovely wood shop. We have a number of wonderful theme dinners and trips that occur here on our campus. So you can see the luau that they had here in the Bachman Center. So they have themed dinners a couple times a year. We have a lot of special events. So this past summer, we had our gala up at the Milhorn Manor in Mount Joy, which is a lovely masquerade ball. We've had events at Excelsior downtown and a number of other notable venues around Lancaster County. So that's a lot of fun for our residents to enjoy. We have a lot of volunteer opportunities. We know that our folks like to stay engaged. On the left here, we have our gift shop. And on the right, you can see there was some publicity done for residents who volunteer at the Schreiber Pediatric Center right next door to us. We have a number of educational opportunities from sponsored events like the Quest for Learning, as well as other professors who come in. So there are a lot of ways to stay engaged through education. The map that you see here shows an overview of our campus. So for many of you, I think we have a lot of new folks today who've maybe never been to Homestead Village before. We're a community of small neighborhoods. So you can see we have the farmstead, the Mews, Villa Court, cottages, and then the apartments as well. And overall, we have 567 residents right now. So I'm just going to give a brief summary of each neighborhood. And then again, following the presentation today, we will have a bus driving tour if you'd like to take a look around for those of us who are in person. So the Farmstead is our newest neighborhood, and this has been about a 5-year project, and we are down to just one home being available left at Farmstead. So it's just across the road behind Roarstown Elementary School. Here's some pictures of the Farmstead. You might like Farmstead if you like the excitement of building in a new home. So these are the newest homes, again, built in the last 5 years. Oh, we are plugged in. Okay, so we are plugged in. Why are we low? Pause here. Okay, so hopefully that worked. So at the Farmstead, we also have basements in a lot of those homes. So if you like some extra storage for quilting machinery or hobbies that you might have, photography, we do have basements at the Farmstead homes. And some people really like the idea of the separate neighborhood feel that you'll find at the Farmstead and the Mews, because they're not necessarily connected to the main campus. You just feel like you're driving into a lovely neighborhood. So the next closest one on the map is our Mews neighborhood. And this is about 15, 20 years old at this point in time. So we are renovating them as they become available. We have a very thorough renovation process, which people do enjoy. And the transformation from before to after is very exciting. You may recognize the pond that as you're driving on Knoll past the Stouffer's grocery store, you'll see this pond there. And you might like the Mews if you like a little bit larger floor plan style than perhaps our cottages or our villas. We have both 1- and 2-car garages. Some floor plans have a 2nd-story loft on them. And they also have really nice high vaulted ceilings and lots of windows. Our Villa Court neighborhood is just behind the Bachman Center here. These are ranging from about 13 up to about 1,600 square feet, depending on if they have a sunroom or not. These are about 20, 25 years old at this point in time. They all have 2 bedrooms, 2 baths, 1-car garage. And people really like these because you are a little bit closer to the pool, the gym, the main campus center. So they're very convenient if you like to walk back and forth from the services or just be closer to the services. We also have our lovely Raider Park and community gardens right behind the Villa Court, which you can garden in there and take walks throughout the beautiful park. And then finally, we have our cottages, which you may have passed as you came into campus this morning. These are the original homes here at Homestead. So they're about 30, 35 years at this point in time. But again, we are renovating them very nicely as they become available. And they are the only home that stands alone. So people really like the charm that they have big mature trees. You have your own mailbox out front, beautiful lampposts. They are 2-bedroom and mostly 2-bath homes. And again, they're very convenient to the main campus and amenities here. We do have 111 apartments here at Homestead Village, which we do have some that you may see today if you would wish. And they range from a small studio up to a large 1,300 square feet. And in the apartments, there are a lot of additional services that are included in your monthly service fees. So if you're looking at our rate sheet and you notice that the monthly fees are higher, It's because we have housekeeping, we have linen service, we have a larger meal plan, all of your utilities are included. So it's a much more inclusive environment in the apartments. And then, of course, the ThriveView, our option of having supportive services available right there in your home. The one question I get asked very often is about our waiting lists. And that's, of course, the hardest thing to predict is when we might have something available. But this is a general overview of what we're predicting. So we do presently have a couple of studios available and a select one-bedroom apartment. Our cottages, villas, mews, and farmstead, it really depends. So sometimes we have a number of homes coming back to us, and then our wait list moves more quickly. And sometimes we don't have anyone moving out, and then my wait list is longer than I thought it was going to be. So don't hold us exactly to these numbers, but we do recommend that people join the wait list if they are hoping to move to one of the cottages, villas, mews, or farmstead homes. So I'll call Doug back up to finish out the presentation this morning, but we hope it's been very helpful.
Just 3 more slides and one of them's questions. So relax, it's almost over. The ride is almost over. So when's the best time to plan for your future? It's obviously now. Most life plan communities have waiting lists, as you can see, but we do not hard sell. We know we have a great program and service for everyone, but you may say, I like Homestead Village, but I like a different place better. We want you to do your research. We want you to live where you want to live. All we can do is share with you why we think Homestead is your best choice. So do your research, evaluate financial options, make sure you do all those little essential things behind the scenes with your your lawyer to get your powers of attorney and those documents done. But visit several communities and see what's the best option for you. We want you to be happy. But why you shouldn't wait, living among like-minded people, having a community of friends and neighbors that care about you and encourage you and really participate in life with you. Keeping control in your hands. You run the show here. You don't lose control when you live in a life plan community like Homestead Village. And it really does remove a lot of the stress on you and on your family members when you choose to move to a life plan community. Last thing I'll say, it's not on the slide. The earlier you move here, the more you can take that entrance fee and amortize it over many more years. And then it becomes less and less expensive to live in a retirement community. So move soon. Questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, 2 questions. One is, I'm curious about the soundproofing. Together, most of the houses are freestanding. And so I'm wondering about that. For example, I play piano and I don't hate to bother my neighbors and vice versa.
That's a great question. Oh, yes. The question is soundproofing between our various homes, duplexes, triplexes, apartments. That question comes up a lot, and that's a very important point. I think there are residents of Homestead Village in the audience, and they can share with you if they have any sound issues. It is very, very rare that anyone ever says that their neighbor bothers them. We have a lot of dogs living here, and some of those dogs bark, and we get no complaints about people hearing barking dogs. Our apartment building is all steel stud and concrete, and so there's no sound transfer between the floors in that building, and all of our duplexes are built very soundproof. Good question.
May I?
Yes.
Do you have when you get to the point where you need more intensive care like it's part of you have a facility for that?
We do. Yes, the question is if you need additional services, especially specialized services such as memory support. Are we able to accommodate that? And the answer is absolutely yes. That's part of our Thrive Where You Are. And we really focus on making sure that we provide the most home-like environment. All of our skilled nursing and memory support houses are small houses, maximum of 22 residents, but it's usually under 20. Our memory support houses each have 13 residents, and they're wonderful. They're my favorite part of Homestead Village. I don't want to live there, but I love visiting there. Other questions in the audience?
What is your home care service?
Home care, is that the question? Our home care service is it can be anything from transportation, grocery services, housekeeping, laundry, and care, bathing, dressing.
So the home care is your home here. It's not your home where you're living now.
Our home care service will go to you. Yes, in your current home. Yes.
So is that after the entrance fee?
Nope.
Or is that a separate?
It's completely, it's a separate fee, and it's fee for service. You buy what you need. But yes, we serve people with our home care agency in the community.
Right.
Mhm.
If I could elaborate on that too, sometimes we do get asked if there's an entrance fee to join the home care services. So there is no entrance fee and there's no monthly fee to use our home care services. It's simply fee for service. So you'd only pay for the services that you need at that time. So you can enroll and sign up for home care at any time. And if you need them, you just call them and they'll just bill you for the hours that you're using. So there's no maintenance or ongoing fees to be a member of it. And we actually have a virtual question here. Someone asked, do current residents of cottages, villas, et cetera, have first choice of apartments on the waiting list? And the answer to that question is yes. So if you live in one of our outside homes and then an apartment becomes available, we would give preference to our internal folks to reserve that apartment if they would wish to. Good question. Yes.
How your fees increased over the last 3 or 4 years? And how do you anticipate with labor shortages and that sort of thing?
Sure.
Going in the future?
Sure. So the question was, what is our annual rate increase? So on average, I would say between 3 and 4% annually is our increase on our monthly service fees. Our entrance fees go up just a couple percentage points because it's better to do that in increments each year rather than hold it and then increase it a lot. People don't like when you increase it a lot. So we do try to cover the cost of living and salaries, as you mentioned. Did you want to add?
Sure. There are some years where it might be closer to 5%. So, but we try, our goal going into budgeting is to try to keep it between 3 and 4%. The budgeting has been a little challenging over the last couple of years. And the other point there was, what was the last thing you said? Just last.
Entrance fees going up.
Oh, yeah, that wasn't it either.
Oh.
There was something to do with the fee structure. Oh, I know. As we get bigger, it really takes a lot of the pressure off. So a lot of folks choose Homestead Village because we're smaller than a lot of our competitors. We have about 630 residents right now. Our goal is to grow into the 700s and pretty much stay there for this community. And in reality, with the clubhouse being built at the farmstead, that will take, that will create a little bit more of a Muse farmstead community over there that will kind of make it not as big perhaps, but the larger a community is, the more you can share the cost of all of the benefits.
I have a question about the food plan. I know all the houses of all the different residences have kitchens and refrigerators. How does that work? I mean, we've seen a couple places that you're given X amount, and if you don't use it, you lose it.
Mhm.
Is it accumulated over?
So the question is, how does the meal plan work? And is it a use it or lose it scenario? And yes, every house here has a kitchen, a full kitchen, even our apartments. The meal plans are smaller in the outer houses and larger in the apartments. And the way our meal plans work is you can keep up to 2 months of your meal plan balance. So if you only use 2/3 of it, and every month you use 2/3 of it, it would be many, many months before you'd ever lose any. And you can have friends in, you can have family in, but it is very flexible. If you go to Florida for the winter, we don't charge you the meal plan. So there's a lot of flexibility to it.
So if you're looking in your packet, if you want to take one on the way out, we do have the rate sheets that have the meal plan information. So in the outside homes, it's $108 per person per month. So let's say you go out to a restaurant, let's say you go to Texas Roadhouse, you know, you can't get out of Texas Roadhouse for less than $25 a person probably. So, so it's very reasonable. And in the apartments where we have our larger meal plans, it boils down to about $10 per person per day. So it's not a huge amount, but it's very, yes, that's in your brochure, yes. So it's not a huge commitment, but again, it's really helpful to people to encourage them to go to the restaurant and enjoy nutrition and the wonderful meals that they have there. Yes.
The apartment, you have a plan 1 and a plan 2. Can you explain that?
Oh, great question. Yes. So the question was explaining our plan 1 and our plan 2 entrance fees. So with our plan 1, that is basically a plan where after you live here for about 50 months, there is no more refundable portion of your entrance fee. So the reason that it's over 50 months is because it actually amortizes to Homestead Village at 2% per month over those first 50 months. So if someone's here only a very short period of time, let's say they move in and then 6 months later, their family moves to Connecticut and they want to go too. If you're here 6 months, you'll only lose 12% of your entrance fee to Homestead. It'll be accrued to Homestead. The remaining balance would be refundable back to you. So that's a protection for your assets, that if you don't live here very long, that you get that money back based on how long you lived here. The plan 2 is what we call our estate preservation plan. So that is also amortizing at 2% per month, but it stops amortizing after 22 months. So in that plan, you'll always have a guaranteed refund of 60%. So you'll have 60% equity in that entrance fee that's refundable back to you if you move away or to your estate. And you can decide what beneficiaries you'd like to designate to who should receive the refund at that time.
Another question. Your memory care and your skilled care, are the facilities here within the Homestead Village?
Yeah, so the question was, where are our skilled care and memory care households located? And they are actually attached to our apartment building. So it's all under one roof. It's just on the other side of the building. Great question. So I know there's lots of wonderful questions. And I know the time though is getting close to 11 here. So we do want to make sure that there's enough time for the tour that I know a number of you wanted to go on. So if you have any additional questions, please feel free to call us. I'll point out in the back, we have Amanda Hall and Sean Kreck. And then of course myself, I'm Christina Gallagher. So we'd love to meet with you, have a personal appointment. You can call me, you can email us if you have any further questions. I know it's a lot of information. We really appreciate you being here today. So as a matter of housekeeping, before we depart, we do have restrooms in the back if anyone would need to use the ladies or men's room. If you plan to join us on the bus tour, the bus will be driving around Homestead Village with a destination of seeing a home in the farmstead. The bus will then come back here to the Bachman Center and drop off anyone that wants to get off at that time. If anyone wants to stay on the bus and see the apartments, you can do so. The other option is to go directly to the apartments to see the apartments with Sean. So if you want to raise your hand, Sean, he'll be taking a group over directly to the apartments without the whole bus tour. So see any of us if you have questions about what's next. But again, thank you so much for being here. We really hope that you found it worthwhile, and hopefully you'll have some great talking points when you get home. Thanks to everyone that joined us virtually. We hope to see you in the future. And again, contact me if you have any further questions. Thank you.